Okay, what it's about. Well, it's obviously book about a young woman who has left her mother in Florida and has some money and is traveling on her own and meets this guy and has an affair with him. I mean, that's more or less the plot. Beyond the field is the jungle. The jungle surrounds their sleep. The jungle lives at the borders of their sleep. I did go to Belize. There's a national magazine, and they commissioned me to write an article on the monkey sanctuary. We had our writing group at that time. I wanted to write about Belize, but I didn't know what I wanted to write. So I really played around for quite a few months. I was really driven by the rhythm. It was kind of the rhythm that let me go on with it, that kept me going with it, because otherwise I wouldn't have known where to go. She sees venom smelling like excrement ooze from the glands of millipedes, while mosquitoes suck the blood of birds. She sees butterfly larvae punctured by the sticky hairs of the passion flower bleed to death as they starve. Yeah, I found those things amazing, the way insects behave and animals behave and just this whole connection between them. She sees the female mantis bite off the head of the male while mating. Well, it's kind of, I think it's interesting. Are they having an affair even? I'm not sure myself. I met very briefly a man who was German, but it's this wonderful thing that happens when you're writing a novel. He suddenly came alive to me, and he felt like a real character. He is walking along the dirt road, kicking stones on the path. This is not his idea of an adventure. But then he starts looking through the trees covered with moss and vines and lichen. He is suddenly a small boy. He is looking for a secret trail through the jungle to the ruins. I mean, he is losing himself in play. She kind of loses herself in the nature. So it is, again, that kind of losing oneself in some larger reality. He sees only what the jungle lets him see. He knows there is more. The small boy would have seen more, but the small boy is hiding in his darkness. I imagine there are aspects of my father that I probably bring to that. This playfulness, this childishness, really. She remembers her father's words when she was a child. "That girl is too brave," he said. She wonders what he would say now if he was still alive, if he could see her standing here alone in the rainforest. She wonders why she still needs to impress her father. Yeah, I think that's true. More?
Fill her up. Fill her up, Sally.
Oh, time for the next bottle.
Man.
We brought two, eh?
This is a typical class, right?
No, this is not. This is the last class of the series. One more. Write about either vitamin D, a recent dye job, green mango, or a shampoo commercial, or a half-formed thought.
Like right now. Like right now.
When people are writing prompts, it's like when you're on the diving board and you suddenly jump off, and it's that space between jumping off and landing. So I have thousands of photos. And then I decide which ones I want to use. Writing prompt 1, set your timer for 20 minutes. Imagine this ornamental fan hanging on the wall in a room. Imagine the room, imagine the character in this room. What roles come to mind when you look at this man? Do you play the same roles? Does someone close to you? What have you done that no one knows about? What I see, they must have thrown someone over and I just missed it. Okay, what is it about you that is making this person anxious? Imagine 3 people you know well sitting in these chairs and discussing your problems. Who are they and what are they saying? If you could, what parts of yourself would you throw out?
There's a lot of
well, it's really self-questioning,
yeah.
Yes, on a deep level. It's very funny with this book. People think it looks like this very simple book, and then they start looking at these questions. Write a piece connecting this woman and this place. But what I love are the curves here. They have like the fold in her blouse and the folds in this tree. When you set a timer, the timer brings energy to the surface, and when you focus on a topic, that captures your attention. So those 2 elements really work to kind of allow you to step away from your normal mind, the mind that's making telephone calls and checking your text messages and so on and so forth. Almost everything can be a good prompt. I use visual and verbal prompts, but I mean, I could probably use sound also, but I'm not a sound person, so. I just love silence. So you want to stop as soon as you lose the energy, and then I have many techniques for finding that energy anew. People who want to write obviously have some desire and some spark to write to begin with, so you want to encourage that. Not kill it with a bunch of rules and different, ways. People's instinct to write is very easily blocked or cut off or whatever.
Not that it even has to be a book. I just feel frustrated. I feel like, what am I doing?
Well, you're writing.
I know. I'm just telling you. I just have been feeling frustrated.
That's why this method is great, because it allows you to write the unexpected, and you get to places that you didn't know. You get to things you didn't know you wanted to write. I mean, you could say they are my past, as long as you got in my past before me, mixed in with my mascara, smeared, very lovely details, I mean, always wonderful writing. Smeared on the sleeve of my t-shirt, now stained for the afternoon. I mean, that's a terrific beginning.
Yeah.
Writing is often very cathartic, and that's fine. My intention is not to be a therapist and not to teach therapeutic methods. So it's really to really get a feel for language. I mean, we all have our own ways of writing, and unless we have to write it for an MFA program, in which case they're looking for specific things, we don't want to hear what we already know. We don't want to read what we already know, because unless you can say something in a way that's truly your own, what's the point? This one is called, the middle one, Erosion Defying Boundaries, Progressing Toward Infinity, number 1.
I'm sorry, say that again. It just went straight over my head.
So you can only see the progress by what's eroded. You can see the deeper layer. And these are all lost. I don't know how they became lost, but they are. I could redo them if I ever felt so inclined, but I haven't.
Something I was wondering, because it doesn't seem to be something that you talk a lot in the books, but it's this idea of, at least in the writing process, this idea of memory. Like, I don't feel like your characters so much are involved in the act of remembering, but it does seem like as an author that is an important aspect of your writing, the kind of reimagining the past.
And it is an imagining of the past. And I don't know if there is a reimagining of the past. Annie Dillard made a really interesting comment, because she said, once you write a book about something, you never remember what you wrote about, you remember the book. I would bet my life that the pieces that you've read about my father's suicide, I still tend to think that that's exactly the way it happened. And maybe you have to think that way in order to write it. On impulse, she buys a second-hand green silk blouse. She feels strange wearing something that belonged to someone else. She wants to feel strange. She wants to be someone she has never met. She imagines her mind's house stripped. Layers of loose paint slide off the surface. Wallpaper with worn patterns whitewashed. Naked, she lets the green silk blouse take root inside her, lets the strangeness stay.
Is writing about a desire to remember for you?
It's a desire to work out or explore something that's unfinished or unresolved. I tend to think, and I've certainly taught a lot of students, that people really want to work out some very early experience that never, that remains with them, no matter what they're writing about, that it tends to be the core. Writing about it was really good because it kind of brought me forward, and now I don't feel like I need to write about him anymore in any covert or overt way. So I feel like I can go forward, or that I am going forward.